Horrible how bad it is. I mean, SRP of what, 130, and it's worth 20.
It says it's worth about $21,200. If you owe $34,000, $13,000 underneath, do you have a down payment to get into an Odyssey?
Welcome back, because today we're going to be looking at some of the worst car debt you've ever seen. It's no secret that the car market is absolutely in shambles, and especially just a few years ago, back about 2020, 2021, it was absolutely horrible. And trust me, we're gonna look at the good, the bad, and try to have a fun time while doing it. So if you're ready, let's get into the clips.
Hello?
Hi, hello.
Hey, how are you? This is Yusuf, the car dealer.
Yes. Hi, Yusuf. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for calling me.
Absolutely. Did I catch you at a good time? All right. So just to break it down, you had a 2018 Dodge Durango SRT you bought last September in 2024. You're saying that you owe $34,000 on it.
So when I originally purchased it, I was told that my monthly was going to be $420, about that amount, or $419. And I did the whole thing, and they put me through it was like a auto pay system. So I was supposed to be coming out of my bank account monthly for $119. Turn around, 30 days passed by, and I noticed that the payment came out twice. It turns out that it's actually $820. And that the $420 that we're referring to was like the amount that they were going to be taking out bi-weekly out of mine.
I want to take a quick moment to pause here. Bi-weekly car payments are becoming increasingly more popular, and honestly, as a young guy who's just trying to get into the financial world, it is absolutely terrifying to see my friends and even family getting into these types of car payments, because the blunt reality is people cannot afford to live right now, especially when making decisions like this. And yes, cars are expensive, but getting into payments like this is an absolute disaster waiting to happen. Ultimately, if you can't afford the $800 a month, you can't afford the $400 every 2 weeks. There might be certain situations there, but more than likely it's just trying to make a bigger problem seem like a smaller one. And that's how the dealerships are getting people right now.
Your payment schedule says that you signed for a 72-month term at $828 a month and 42 cents.
Oh my goodness. Sorry to pause again, but let's do some quick math here. $782 a month times 72. You're looking at $56,304, and obviously that doesn't include the little cents that were there that she's going to be paying out on a 2018 Dodge Durango. These people are getting absolutely screwed with these car payments.
You bought it for $24,000, and you traded in a 2008 Honda Odyssey. What did you put down on the car? Was it just the trade-in, or you had money to put down?
That's the trade-in. Like, how would the equity work with the car when if I were to try to get out of the finance of it?
What's your credit score right now?
620 or 640.
Let me look up the value of this car, because it says you owe $34,000.
I haven't even had it for a year.
74,000 miles?
Yeah, it's 73.
And it's not an SRT, it's an RT.
Fully loaded SRT, I guess.
It says it's worth about $21,200. If you owe $34,000, $13,000 underneath, do you have a down payment to get into an Odyssey?
$13,000 in negative equity on the car. Absolutely devastating. And it's just sad to see. She said that she wasn't able to put anything down for the down payment, which, I mean, I get she had a trade in. That should be perfectly fine. The problem is what happens a lot of times, and I'm seeing it more and more, is people are trying to get into these nice, flashy, cool, fully loaded cars, and they're trading in what is potentially an unreliable. Like, I can say for myself, my mom actually had a Honda Odyssey as well, that exact same car, and it lasted up until I think just about a year or two ago. It lasted almost 200,000 miles. Very reliable car. And I'm not necessarily trying to say much about the Dodge Durango, because honestly, I don't know. But what I can tell you is a bad thing is paying $1,000 a month for 72 months and being $13,000 negative on it. That is a way to absolutely screw yourself financially, and it is just honestly sad to see.
You have a down payment to get into an Odyssey?
I have 10,000 that I can put down, but I wanted to see if I can equal out and completely go all in. If I'm able to trade it in, maybe you can decrease it if I do it doesn't have to be like a new Odyssey,
Here's the thing. In the message, you said that at $820 a month, you really can't afford the car. And at an 18% interest rate, I don't know what your credit score was before. Do you remember what it was when you got approved for this car?
I think you said it was at 600.
So if it was at 600, you're probably going to be right around the same credits or the same interest rate. So I would say with 10 grand down, you're probably going to be between 18 and 24% interest rate on a Honda Odyssey. Maybe more, maybe less. Some credit unions allow a 620, 640 credit score if you had a relationship with them. Same time, your credit isn't there to be like, okay, let me get prime rate, which is going to be around 8 to 12%. My offer would be right around that 21, 22 range, 74,000 miles. A dealership will probably get you approved just because you have so much down. You're just gonna have to roll over negative equity, but you're gonna have a high interest, high car payment. You're probably gonna be right around the same monthly payment for a Honda Odyssey. So I would say you right now would be best to wait until your credit gets like a 680, 700. You wouldn't have to put so much money down.
So what happened is she has a Honda Odyssey. She wants to get a new car. She ends up getting rid of this Honda Odyssey, gets screwed by the Dodge Durango, and now wants to go back to a Honda Odyssey, where she will then still have a horrible interest rate, if not worse, potentially over 20% interest on a car, on a used car, because she said not even new, still with $10,000 down. This is devastating, but this is the reality of the car market that we're in right now, and the reality, I'm sorry, of the decisions that some people are making. And sometimes, you know, I want to be honest, there's obviously situations where people have to make certain decisions, right? Before we move on from this video, I want to take a look at a couple of the comments because they're actually pretty interesting. This one right here says 72-month term, 19% criminal. Pay attention. If you have to finance more than 60 months, you can't afford the car. I very much agree with this. And obviously, like I said, money is tight these days. I don't want to sound like I'm out of touch at all. I'm not out here trying to spread like Dave Ramsey and say you have to buy it cash, because in all reality, especially for someone my age, that's just not, it's not realistic. It's not realistic anymore. But I think you have to be more careful. So I agree with that. This is another one I thought was pretty interesting. Not even a year and want to get rid of it. If you can't afford it, don't get it. I'm also seeing that a lot too. There are a lot of people out here, they'll want to buy a car and less than a year later, sometimes even months. But for now, let's move on to the next clip. I want to move into something that is on the luxury side of life, right? When you think of luxury, what do you think? You gotta have a nice car, right? You gotta have a watch. You gotta live in a nice place. Well, sometimes people like to get that mixed up. They like to jump the gun a little bit, as they'd like to say. Well, absolutely. This one right here is Maserati owner shocked it has over $100,000 in depreciation. 6 figures in depreciation. And this is not the only video we're going to be looking at. And these are recent videos. This is happening right now. This is absolute insanity.
Hello.
Hey, this is Yusuf, the car dealer.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
Good, thank you for asking. Thank you so much for calling me back too.
Absolutely. So I'm calling about the Maserati that you were trying to get rid of. Break it down for me if you don't mind.
It is 20K upside down, you told me. I have great credit, so it's like 750.
So you do have a great interest rate. I mean, you know, 5%. So you owe around 41,000. Wholesale on that car is between, like I said, that range is going to be between 20,000 to maybe 23 on the top end. So you are 20,000 upside down. Unless you put a significant amount of money down, your negative equity is going to transfer over to a different car. So then if you're buying a newer car, it's going to depreciate. That will put you in an even worse situation because typically you'll have more negative equity. In order for you to get rid of this, either just go lease a car, but the caveat to that is you will have a higher payment. Let's say,
you know what I want to say right off the bat? I really respect this guy because he is spitting facts here. He's telling her how it is. He's being honest and just saying like, look, lady, you are $20,000. Even if you can sell it for what sounds like the higher end of the market for that car, you will still owe $20,000, which will just end up rolling on and over to the next car, which will then just continue the cycle, continue the debt, and ultimately never get paid off. And what is so crazy to me is that people are buying these Maseratis for, I think they said $120,000, $130,000, and it is already worth $20,000. I don't know why anyone would buy that. And here's the thing, I'm not knocking nice cars. Honestly, I really like cars, and I like flashy cars, okay? But there are so many better cars out there that will hold their value a hell of a lot better than a Maserati. So I don't get the appeal.
$20,000 in incentives. It'll eat up your negative equity, but instead of leasing MSRP or the invoice of, you know, 40,000 from when it was originally marked to 60, now you're back at the original 60 of the invoice for the car that you're leasing, and it'll be a significantly higher payment.
My payment's 11. I wouldn't mind going up to like 15.
You know, if you're paying $1,100 a month for the Maserati and you're comfortable going with $1,500 a month, like finding like, I don't know if you're looking for a luxury car, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, or if you're looking
whatever's smart, because I've been learning such a huge lesson with COVID and everything, that the market was so, like, it was booming, right? Everything is so shaky, so I just want to do the smart thing, and that's why I messaged you.
That's just pretty funny. It's absolutely true. I'm glad the guy brought it up. We are 6 years past the vid at this point, and I promise it's pretty much, we can't let that, you know, we can't go off of that to be choosing what we're going to do with our money now. And I really wanted to touch on, she said she's at $1,100 a month right now for this Maserati. $1,100. She's comfortable going up to $1,500. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I feel like I live a pretty comfortable, blessed living. I get to work from home. I get to do things online. It's amazing, right? And I make decent money doing it. I do not know if in my life I could ever be comfortable with $1,000 payment. And maybe I'm talking out my rear end right now, but that to me is terrifying to think about $1,000 a month going towards a car, because the blunt reality is, if you have it like that, and you should be getting some of these cars, these 6-figure cars plus, you're probably making enough money where you could get a little better payment than that because you put enough down. Or I guess I technically don't know. Maybe it makes sense, but I promise for 99% of people, these people with over $1,000 car payments, it does not make sense, and it does not. So I just can't.
You take from this: never buy a Maserati. Always lease it.
Yeah, I've learned that.
Never buy a Maserati.
It's horrible. I had a Ghibli and I had this one, but the Ghibli crashed. I got in an accident on my way back from Texas, and it was considered total.
Maserati. In case you guys were wondering, don't go buy one. There you go. There's your lesson. Don't go buy a Maserati. Now let's check some of the comments because they are pretty hilarious. This first one right here says, I hear a Toyota Camry in her future. I don't necessarily disagree. $130,000 for a Jeep Grand Cherokee with leather. Unless you're a millionaire, you should never buy a Maserati. They aren't reliable, maintenance is extremely expensive, and they don't hold their value at all. Pretty sure, but bad financial decision. And then whatever's smart. Yeah, girl, hang up the phone and call Toyota, get a Prius. I completely agree with that comment. And I want to circle back around. I'm not saying you can't ever get a nice car, you can't enjoy the luxuries of life, but this is just ridiculous. If you want to make a smart choice, go find a reliable car that can still be nicer. Find something that actually fits in your budget, that won't get you $100,000 in depreciation. And probably, I think she just said a couple years, and live a life and invest in things that matter a little bit more, especially more than Maserati. Let's move on to the next clip. Now, this one, I am extremely excited to show you. Now, this next one, I feel a little conflicted about how much I'm excited to show you it and how much I feel absolutely devastated for the person that's actually in this situation. This video right here is customer owes $16,000 on a 2014 Honda with 170,000 miles and pays $500 a month. $500 a month, owes 16 grand, 170,000 miles. Oh, this is gonna be a good one.
Calling a customer on a 2014 Honda CRV he bought for $18,000. He owes about $16,000.
Yes, hello?
Hey, what's up, brother? How are you? This is Yusuf, the car dealer.
Yep, this is...
Calling about your 2014 Honda CRV. I know you messaged me on TikTok or Instagram about it.
Honestly, I made a deal with the devil. When I first made the deal, I needed a car ASAP, and there was no other way going around it. And honestly, I bought it at a dealership in New Jersey. I feel like they kind of but I'm paying too much for an old car with so many miles on it.
So, all right, so just so you bought this a couple months back, how much did you pay for it? You said $18,000?
I think it was around like $18,000.
That is absolutely insane. There's no negative equity rolled over at all. 162,000 miles, over 10 years old at this point. I think 11 now. And he paid $18,000. I don't know where he went. Something tells me in this video though, something gives me a little hint in my mind that not only did he probably go to a bad place, probably one of the places that would accept him, but I can almost guarantee he has horrible credit. And that's the sad, I mean, that's the biggest thing people are getting themselves into.
And how many 40,000 miles?
It started off with 162,000 miles.
Oh my God, you should have walked away, brother.
Yeah, I know, man, to be honest. But the thing is, I needed something ASAP. And then my wife was with me. And you know what I mean? We've been looking for a car for so long. And nobody was accepting us. And that was literally the only offer I got.
What's your credit score right now?
Now, to be honest with you, the car is under my mother's name. To be honest with you, I thought I was going to be the primary signer. And then my mother was going to be the co. Like 3,200. And then I'll tell a locksmith on the side as well. But that's cash, so they tell me to not even include that because it's cash payments.
So let's just call it $3,500 a month.
I don't have a lot to say. Legitimately makes me feel horrible. Just sad for the guy. Down in my stomach. $490. That's why they didn't put him on the loan. That's why the mom was, ended up being the primary. Let me see really quick what her credit was.
4 months loan.
Like, how much do you have down?
I could put an extra $2,000 down right now.
Okay, 2,000. Now, as far as the car, I mean, the condition is not the best. The pictures you showed me.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying. And that's why this guy is in this situation. He is, 490 credit score, 510, 520. It's just, you can't do anything with that. And let's check some of the comments though and see how people are reacting to this video. A 2014 Honda with 162,000 miles for $18,000 at 24% interest. I know the dealership and bank celebrated that day. Sadly, you're absolutely right. 24% interest. This is, like I said, we are looking at credit card interest rate at this point. And I know some credit cards are getting up there to 30 now. But 24%, this is just insane. I don't even know how that's legal. The Department of Education needs to have mandatory financial classes in schools because no way, 2014. He should have taken the bus for 6 months and saved and bought a beater in cash. This is a very good idea. Now, I will be fair on the other side. There is some places in the United States that does not have reliable public transportation at all, but there definitely is better alternatives, I would just have to assume, than this type of car loan and payment. And then finally, we have this comment right here. He takes no responsibility for his bad decisions. He knew the price, age, and mileage before he signed the paperwork. 490 credit score shows a lot of bad decisions. Step 1, he needs to take responsibility for bad decisions. I'm gonna be honest, I don't disagree with that. They're definitely, like I said, a 490 credit score shows a long history of a bad cycle, and it's just going to take, bluntly, being an adult and seeing if there's any little thing you can figure out. Next up, we have what is possibly one of the most fascinating clips. What I have down in my notes here is 560 credit score, so we got another horrible credit score video, and wants a Mercedes, but specifically, customer wants me to buy her repossessed Mercedes from auction and sell it back to her to get a job. Let's see what this clip is about.
Hello.
Hey, Melissa, how are you? This is Yusuf, the car dealer from social media.
Hey, Yusuf. Glad you called. I know you go to the auctions, and I was gonna book a call with you, but I didn't want to pay the $49 if I really couldn't get, what I needed to get.
Okay.
I had a 2018 Mercedes E400, and it got repoed back in November. And from your videos, I remember that you go to the auctions and buy repo cars. And I wanted to know if you could possibly...
I just want to pause there for a second. I got a couple comments I need to make really quickly. 7 months of falling behind on payments is no joke. And I think there's one other video in this little list we have here where someone else talks about missing payments. I think it might have been it was 6 months plus at least. But people say this so casually. This is insanity. Half a year of missed payments. And, I want to say, losing a job is horrible. I've lost a job before. It's absolutely devastating. It can knock you off your feet, especially if you're not prepared in the slightest, which if you're having a car like this, more than likely you're not.
To Atlanta with my mom, so I'm kind of getting more financially stable right now.
Okay. Wait a minute. So you said you fell back on some payments. 7 months is not some payments. Do you have a job right now?
I do not currently have a job right now.
So
But,
how do you have the money to pay for this car if I sell it back to you?
So I just recently got a check from the insurance company for an accident I was involved in about 3 months ago, I think it was. So I want to use that money to get my car back.
So ultimately, I can empathize with losing a job. But the problem is when people are losing their jobs, they can't find a job good enough to cover some of these insane payments. Caleb Hammer is a YouTuber that I love to watch. Honestly, he has great content, and he says lifestyle inflation. He talks about that all the time, and this is what we see with these types of videos.
Car back, and then I can get a job and work on my payments and stuff. I'm applying for jobs and stuff now.
This sounds a little bit absurd. Got your car repossessed back in November. You want me to buy it back. You don't have a job. You're using the money that you got from an insurance payout to get the car back so you can get mobile and get a job, correct?
Correct.
You don't think that's a little bit backwards?
No, I'm just trying to think ahead. I said I'm actively applying to jobs, but I know I need a car to get from point A to point B, so why not start by trying to get my car back?
So this is exactly what I was talking about, right? In all reality, this lady should have taken this opportunity to try and get into something a little bit more affordable, right? But no, immediately, she doesn't have a job for what sounds like at least a number of months, gets a check from the insurance company and wants to try to buy back the problem. And she wants to do this all while still not having a job. She's applying, but she wants to get back into a car with monthly payments that are probably substantial, which is why she missed 7 months of them, and not have a way to pay for it besides this one insurance check, which will probably barely cover just getting the car back to begin with.
You remember the specifics of the loan? What was your interest like and all that?
It was like 22%. Also hoping if I get it back, I could possibly refinance it or something and get the interest to go down.
What's your credit? What's your credit score right now?
It was a 560, but since I'm working on building up, it's like a 590 right now.
How much money do you have down?
0, but I would at least be willing to put the $1,300 down that I have for my monthly payment.
You don't think you should take that insurance payout, buy a cheap cash car, get your money up, find a job, take advantage of living at home with your mom, and then come back to me and you're Yusuf, you know what, I'm in a better position. You actually have a job, you have better credit, and then we can get you into a different car with a lot cheaper payment?
No, not really.
Gosh, this is another one. This is what you clicked on the video for. This is what you came to see. $1,300 a month. I pretty much called it. Let's check some of these comments like always. This is why financial literacy is so important. Agreed. Putting someone with 560 credit score in a Mercedes is absolutely diabolical. Of course. She should take that check and buy a cash car until she's on her feet for real. So I want to touch on this really quick. This is pretty interesting to think about, right? You could try and buy some cash car, but even if you want something half decent, you could get a $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 car if you have that $10K that you could put down on it, and the payments won't be absolutely absurd. You won't have an absolutely absurd interest rate. Okay, so this next one actually goes to who I was just talking about, Caleb Hammer. You know him, you love him, maybe you don't, but I kind of think he's cool.
Who the has a Ram 2500?
It's a diesel truck.
Great. It costs $1,275 a month.
That's correct.
You bring in $3,333. This is a third of your income. Third of your income goes to this truck.
I do a lot of driving.
Every other country has figured out that you don't need a supersized wagon. The truck bed in all these eras throughout even the start of trucks in this country, not only have they stayed the same, they've actually shrunk and the cabins have gotten better.
I've seen it.
You're paying way too much, more than you need. You're trying to justify saying you need this to do it. No, buddy, what's the balance on this?
About 66.
What's the interest rate?
12.75.
Buddy.
You know what I'll give this guy, right? That is a much better interest rate than I think every single other video we've watched up to this point. At least 12% I can, even in some realm, somewhere far, far, far out in outer space, I can start to wrap my head around. But, wow, $66,000 still owed. And Caleb's absolutely right here. This comment right here says, that's downright embarrassing to have a $1,300 truck payment while making $3,300 a month. I don't necessarily disagree. Next comment, I do a lot of driving. Then why are you in the Gas Guzzler 9000? Yeah. You might want to get yourself, I don't know, a small gas efficient sedan. I mean, just a crazy suggestion here. I don't know. Bruh, if you drive a lot, you need a Prius, not a train size truck. Yeah. And this last one, unless he's actually living in the truck, he can't afford it. I agree. This better be your home for 30% of your monthly income. You better have a nice mattress in that tail end of that big truck, because otherwise it's looking bad for you. Now, finally, I wanted to end off with something a little bit different. This one is potentially a controversial one because I wanted to bring up the point. Is the $10,000 cash car that Dave Ramsey loves to talk about still a realistic thing in 2025? We're going to watch the video, and I actually want you to let me know in the comments so I can review it in my next video.
I want a safe car. We have 4 kids. I want a safe car to drive them around.
You don't think $10,000 cars are safe?
No, because it's going to have issues, and then next thing you know, you're at the shop every couple months, and then you're up to $10,000 in shop bills.
Yeah, Riston, you have no freaking idea what you're talking about. That was the dumbest statement I've heard this week. That's absolutely ridiculous. A $10,000 car is going to run up $10,000 bills, and it's not safe to take your children in. Seriously, darling. I mean, you said that out loud.
Before I say anything, I want to check the comments and see kind of how the public community is feeling about this Dave Ramsey clip. This person says, I bought a pickup truck out of a guy's backyard for $200. After some fixing and licensing, I had $1,500 in it total. It's been my daily driver for the past 4 years. But then you also have something that completely flips the script. I've had $10,000 cars cost that much in repair. I've also had 3,000 beaters that outlast everything. It just depends on the car. And I think that is the most important thing to mention here. Look, if you can find you do your research, you find reputable cars that are known to last, you have a mechanic inspect it first. See if you can have someone, even if it's a few $100s, to have something like that done. Hell, $500. It's worth to spend that money to check and make sure it's good. If you have someone approve it and say, hey, this is going to be a nice car, it'll last you X, Y, and Z, then pull the trigger on it. But with that being said, that's all for me today. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay financially smart. See ya.